Hello everybody, John12 back here again with another video, and I'm here to give you my official review for Fear the Walking Dead Episode 1. Now, of course, if you've not seen this episode, please go check it out because this review may contain spoilers. But that being said, let's get into Fear the Walking Dead. Now, of course, if you have zero idea what Fear the Walking Dead is, you're probably living under a rock and you have no idea of the outside world. So I'm going to help you out here. Essentially, The Walking Dead is the biggest franchise that AMC has, and they decided, how do we milk this a little bit more than we already have? Like, we want more money and way more viewers. So instead of coming up with some more original content on our program, let's spin off The Walking Dead into its own companion series so that everyone involved can have more money. Like AMC, Robert Kirkman, pretty much anybody who has any kind of involvement with the universe of The Walking Dead. However, I personally thought it was the biggest, dumbest idea to create a spin-off series because The Walking Dead is such a grand, over-the-top universe in and of itself that we still haven't yet followed the full story of the comic books. I mean, there's still so much that the show has not touched upon in comparison to the comic books. It's kind of like Game of Thrones. Like, there's so much plot that you've not addressed, and you're already starting on a companion series. I felt it was stupid. However, I decided, it doesn't really matter in my personal opinion. I know that there was major hype for this show. I know that the Walking Dead fan base is gigantic. It's like it's a convention within it itself. I understand that, but if you've been a subscriber or a viewer of my channel for any amount of time, then you would know that I obviously was a gigantic Walking Dead fan. I loved The Walking Dead. I thought Season 1 was awesome. It really reintroduced us to the zombie genre. Season 2 blew the doors down. Season 3 was pretty much the beginning of the end. Like, half of it was good, the other half was like, what? And then Season 4 was pretty much when the train became a train wreck. I just did not like Season 4. I thought it was a disaster from beginning to end. I hated Season 4, and I decided, well, if the show is going to go into this new direction that I'm completely not liking, then I'm going to drop the show. And that's what I did. I completely dropped The Walking Dead, which was hard for me because I loved it so much. I didn't want to see it go terrible, but I did not like half of Season 3, and I didn't like majority of Season 4, and I did not watch all of Season 5 for that reason. So that's pretty much my standpoint on my fandom towards Walking Dead. Now, of course, with me saying that, doesn't mean I was going into the show with preconceived annotations that I was going to hate it, and I was not going into this being like, oh, Walking Dead shit now, I'm not watching that. No, I was going to go into it optimistic because, you know what, even though I may or may not like certain things, I am an optimistic kind of guy. I do go into shows and programs and movies with some form of optimism, so I decided to throw away all of my negative annotations of the Walking Dead series aside just for this one show and this one premiere, which of course was last night, and they had a gigantic premiere, Talking Dead, Chris Hardwick once again talking way too much about the Walking Dead, specifically about Season 6, which, based off how this show's going, I might actually be more interested in Season 6 than I am with this show, so that might give you a personal opinion of how I feel over it. That being said, let's just get in the show. I'm rambling way too much. Let's get into Fear the Walking Dead. Of course, Fear the Walking Dead is a prequel series that takes place before the events of the original Walking Dead series, of course, and it takes place in an entirely different area in the United States, polar opposite of where Rick and the rest of the gang is. Of course, this takes place in Los Angeles, and essentially this is right at the beginning of the brink of the zombie apocalypse. And of course, it follows the story of this specific dysfunctional family who have zero really original or kind of interesting things to do with each other, other than the fact that they somewhat love each other, but they really have nothing to do with each other. So they're pretty much at odds throughout the entire episode. And of course, the entire plot is linchpinned by this one character, which is the son of this one family, who is, of course, the junkie character. And if you've seen any of the TV spots or trailers, he's essentially the kid who's been, running away from pretty much nothingness. Essentially, his character is a junkie. He's been living on the streets for some time now. He has nothing. He's pretty much the black sheep of the family, and decides, you know what, I just want to just get high and just fuck life. Whatever, sure. He takes some drugs, wakes up. his fucking girlfriend's eating a guy's face. Yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. And then the entire episode post that moment is pretty much the dysfunction, the family trying to figure out a way to coexist with one another, and of course try and bring this one kid back from the brink and trying to, I guess, cure him of his disease, which is his drug addiction. And of course there's a whole bunch of other kind of various storylines on top of that with the daughter and her specific lifestyle, the parents, the stepfather who's dealing with his original family, not to mention his new family, trying to coexist with both of them. There's gigantic dysfunctionality going on with this family, and I feel like, and I was discussing with EvaScar23 about this not too long ago, who is a hardcore Walking Dead fan, that he agreed with the same points I had, where it's like, this show, specifically this episode rather, try to sugarcoat a lot of things, and they try to spoon feed you way too much information right off the bat. I felt like the negative amongst negatives with this episode is that they just tried to tell you way too much than you really needed to know. I felt like, I know that with AMC, the first season always consists of 6 episodes, and it's hard to fucking tell everything right off the bat, but this show's pretty long. These episodes are pretty lengthy, so I find it very odd that they try to tell you way too much information, especially information that you don't really need to know or really care about right off the bat. I felt that was kind of odd, but overall, that's pretty much the episode. The episode is essentially this one dysfunctional family living in Los Angeles, trying to cure their son of his drug addiction, while his son is out in the wilderness trying to figure out what's going on with him. Did he see what he really saw, or was he just high? And on top of this, it's the zombie apocalypse. It's beginning. It's right at the brink. It's about to happen. People are walking very slowly and behind the scenes. Oh my god. So that's pretty much Fear the Walking Dead. I personally went into this optimistically because I thought, like, even though I thought it was stupid, even though I saw the trailers and had zero interest, even though I really did not like The Walking Dead as it stands, I was going into the show optimistically to see if it was anything worth checking out and whether or not AMC could do a good job in bringing me back into The Walking Dead. And kind of retroactively, it kind of did that to a certain extent, but for all the wrong reasons. This episode was, instead of being it's so good to get me back, it was so terrible it makes me want to watch The Walking Dead to see, like, is this the standard? Like, it really was not that good. I know there's a gigantic hype for this show, and I know the Walking Dead fans are probably loving the shit out of this, but I just was not a big fan of this premiere pilot. I thought it was boring. It was very unentertaining. The writing for the characters were terrible. They tried to tell you way too much, and they gave you information that you didn't necessarily need to know or care about. Like, I felt like the brilliance of season 1 of The Walking Dead, the original series, the brilliance of that show is that Rick goes into a coma, and when he wakes up, he's already in the zombie apocalypse. The big question I always had watching season 1 and the original series was, what happened? How did this happen? Where did it happen? What was the cause of this zombie outbreak? I want to know. Why are the walkers the walkers? Why are these characters dying and then coming back to life? I always wanted to know that, and to this day, we still don't know. And I don't know if this show plans on any time a standard try to explain the purpose of why these characters become the zombies, but it just did not do it for me. And it did the complete polar opposite of what I wanted it to be, which was essentially just, pretty much, if you've seen spoilers, major spoilers coming up, if you've seen 28 Days Later, which is an amazing zombie movie, if you've not seen that movie pretty much gives you, in the first 5 minutes of the movie, pretty much everything you need to know, and without telling you a lot. It just shows you images of, like, shit that goes down, and that's why. That's pretty much it. I wish that's what this episode was. Like, and I don't even care if they rip them off, because I know there's a big debate after, like, oh, who was original, fucking 28 Days Later or The Walking Dead, because they kind of started off in the same kind of era. I don't really care, because zombies are zombies. It's all just stolen from George Romero, so who gives a shit? But at the end of the day, I always wanted that from this episode. I just wanted straight up, like, an answer as to, this is the moment that a zombie was born. This is a moment where a dead person came back to life, and this is their cause. This is why. This disease was created because of this. I wanted it. I don't even care if they stole it. I didn't even care if, like, some fucking mutated furious monkey just came out of nowhere and just shat into someone's eye who was dead, and then he came back to life. I don't care. I just wanted to see something like that in that kind of standard, and that episode did not give that to us. It was pretty much just The Walking Dead, how it stands, the series, I guess the core concept of The Walking Dead within the prequel. That's pretty much it. It's pretty much a prequel standard of the original Walking Dead, which to a certain extent, if you're a hardcore fan, then that's awesome, but for a person who wants to get back into the series or get into a good series, I just didn't get it out. This just wasn't enough. It just was not good enough to really get me back or get me interested within this one timeline and this one plot. It just was not great. Performances were okay, I guess. I think the main cast did a good job for what they were given. I think specifically the mother character played by Kim Dickens, I think she was pretty good. I think the stepfather character was pretty decent. But overall, everyone else is pretty much just secondary and just completely not really on par with what AMC standards are. And that's the real big downfall. I guess concept-wise, pretty interesting. Zombie-wise, we don't really get to see a lot of it, although we get to see some glimpses of it were pretty cool. There's not really, to not sugarcoat it, there was just not a lot about this premiere episode that really gave me a good reason to stay on this show. It just wasn't. I have to be flat out honest. I was going into this optimistically. I saw the full episode, it felt like forever, and I just wasn't big on it. I just did not love it as much as I guess people were hyping it up to be, or as much as I was hoping it to be. It just wasn't that great. Like, all I can really say is Fear the Walking Dead, rather. It's okay, but it's not good enough for me to come back for episode 2. That's pretty much all I can say. So, at the end of the day, if I had to give this a rating from 1 to 10, 0 to 10, if you will, I have to give it a 4 out of 10. It was not really that amazing. And for AMC standards, especially for the standard that Walking Dead created, this show didn't do it for me. It just wasn't. And as much as that may piss off hardcore Walking Dead fans, it just did not do it for me. However, like I stated, it did kind of get me back into the series retroactively. And what I mean by that is, this premiere episode was so terrible that it makes me want to check out Season 5 and possibly the premiere of Season 6 just out of pure interest. And that's just my personal opinion. And I know how fucked up that may sound, but it's kind of true. Like, I just did not like it. And I'm like, is this the way Walking Dead is now? And based off what EvaScar23 has been telling me, who's a hardcore fan, that Season 5 was pretty badass. And Season 6 looks like it's going to fucking blow the doors down. So, I have to see what happens. Maybe I'll check it out. Maybe I'll review it. Let's see what happens. But overall, Fear the Walking Dead didn't do it for me. And it just was not that great. And let's just throw away the comparisons, because it's not going to win. Comparing it is ridiculous and pointless. If you compare this to the original Walking Dead series, even the series that it's in right now, it's just not going to compare, because everyone's just going to want Daryl fucking shoot something. That's what people are going to want to see, so it's just not going to compare. But just comparing it and just looking at it as a standalone pilot on its own 2 feet as a series, it just wasn't that great. It's okay, and I'm pretty sure the hardcore fans will love it, and I'm pretty sure people who want to get into the show will love it, but I just wasn't big on it. I didn't like it. There's not really a lot of things I do like, other than, I guess, the music was good. The artistic palette was pretty decent. The acting performances, specifically from the stepfather and mother characters, were good. Directing was okay. Writing was decent. But as a standalone series, even not comparing it to the rest of the Walking Dead universe, it just does not compare, and it just does not stand on its own 2 feet on a series that's like, this is its own series. No, it's not. Because of its concept, and because of how big the other show is, it just does not stand on its own 2 feet, in my personal opinion. So, at the end of the day, that's pretty much been my review of it. It's it's meh. That's all I can really say. And that may piss off a lot of people, but I just wasn't big on it. Fear the Walking Dead was pretty much whelming. It was underwhelming. It was whelming. It was just not that great. I didn't love it. and I don't see myself seeing episode 2. Maybe one day I'll binge watch the season when it's done, and maybe I'll check out some future stuff, because based off what AMC's been pronouncing, they've already approved a second season. So yeah, they're going to be milking the shit out of this regardless of how people feel. So anyways, if you loved it, let me know in the comment section below. Did you like Fear the Walking Dead? Did you hate it? What are your personal thoughts on it? Of course, if you didn't agree with me, let me know why in the comment section below, which I'm pretty sure will be a lot of people. Just let me know in the comment section below. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JohnSk12. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. And this has been JohnSk12.